fire exits are back, health and safety, and ladies and gents are through there. I'll just give a quick introduction to the sponsors, Pathway Group. Harry. Harry, let's give a quick quote.
Yeah, sure.
What's our first Saturday? Yeah.
Sorry.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Pathway, welcome to Amington House for those of you who haven't been here before. My name is Barry Knights. I'm the Partnership Manager here at Pathway. Just a brief resume of what Pathway are about. We're a training provider. We're a training organisation who deliver training for the workforce. Now that might be new people who are coming into your workforce, and I'll mention that in a bit more detail in a second, or it might be for existing employees where you want to develop staff to upskill them and move them on to help the organisation grow and develop. What I would encourage you to do is not to look at skills development as a cost, but look at it as a business investment. Look at it as a business improvement tool that you can use to help grow your business and move it forward. And one particular way that you will find really helpful with this is apprenticeships. I don't know, does anybody here employ apprentices at the moment? Yeah? We've got a couple of people who've got them on board. Apprentices are real jobs. An apprenticeship isn't a qualification. It's probably easy to tell you that first off. That an apprenticeship is not just about a piece of paper that says somebody's got a qualification that they can do this, although that is part of it. An apprenticeship is a career choice that a young person will make to embark on a particular career to set them up for the future and for their job going forward. So please think about apprenticeships in that respect. Pathway deliver apprenticeships across a range of different sectors, different occupations from business admin through to warehousing, and all of what we would probably call the soft skill areas in between. We don't do craft skills, we don't do engineering or construction, but we know plenty of people who do. So if you've got a requirement, if there's an apprenticeship framework that you want to get involved with, if Pathway don't deliver it, there's a very good chance we know somebody who does, who can help you with that and help to move it forward. From your point of view, as far as business benefits are concerned, all you need to do with an apprentice is pay their wages. That's your sole purpose, if you like, for an apprentice. There's a few more things in addition to that. Obviously, you've got to make sure they're safe and make sure they're in a good working environment. But essentially, the cost to you is about paying their wages. All of the training that's delivered for an apprentice is picked up by the government, and through Pathways we can access that to help with that delivery on your behalf. So think about taking an apprentice on board. Think about how it can help work towards your business. Some of the benefits of taking on apprenticeships, about bringing new ideas into the organisation through the training that they do and the coaching that they get. You'll find that apprentices tend to be loyal to the business. They want to stay with you and help the organisation grow and develop, put something back into the business. They are very motivated people. They want to achieve. They wouldn't be following the apprenticeship framework if they didn't. You also help with your diversity of your workforce in terms of age, sex, racial background. So there's a whole load of different diversity issues that you can help address within your organisation. You will finish up with qualified and trained staff, and not just trained to the point of the qualification that they may engage on initially, but for them to progress further. So somebody who starts on the bottom rung of the ladder, who might be just kicking off with an English and Maths qualification, once they've got that under the belt, they can then progress onto a level 2 or a level 3, and really the world becomes their oyster. Just to give you an example of the sort of commitment that other organisations put in this, I was at a meeting last week with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and PricewaterhouseCoopers have got something like 300 apprenticeships within their own organisation, and they are really committed to this as a business improvement tool. So if it worked for somebody like that, it should work for most organisations. You don't have to employ hundreds of thousands of people. You can employ just 2 or 3 people, and the apprenticeship process will ultimately benefit you as a business. Now, if you want more information about apprenticeships, or if you're interested in signing up as a business, plenty of Pathway staff around this afternoon. Just grab one of us by the collar, and we'll be happy to arrange a meeting with you, come out and give you some more details and tell you how the whole process works. And in fact, if there's any training or development needs that you want for your business, not necessarily just apprenticeships, but other workforce development, talk to us as well, and we can make arrangements to see how we can help them with that. That's just a brief bit about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Barry. Forgot to introduce myself, sorry. My name is Khaled Free, Regional Director. we are happy to grow, just like any other. Well, more than there's plenty of networking clubs out there that you've probably heard of, networking forums. We like to set ourselves apart. It's completely informal. There's no pressure. No pressure to actually, refer anyone or hand over business cards. Nothing's tracked. We're here to exchange ideas, experiences, and really just to help each other. I'm here pretty much to help you. Really, I'm here to help you, everyone in this room. That's my aim, is to help as many people as I can in any area of their business, or just ideas, or just bouncing ideas. And that's what I aim to do. I'm more comfortable in a one-to-one setting, but I've come out of here to really make the effort to meet everyone here for the first time to help people. I'm more LinkedIn centric. I like networking on LinkedIn and social media. That's my main experience. I have about 7,000 connections. I've grown that over a few years. Why did I do that? What benefit is it to me financially? No. It's mainly to help people. So I can help people and grow that. I'm challenging myself to grow that network, or that just specific part of the network, 1,000 a year, so that I can help others in my connection. I see some of you already on my LinkedIn network, and maybe you're here because of my emails. Even Facebook, I've got a separate Facebook account purely for business purposes, so I can share events, share pages, interact with people on Facebook away from the social side of it. And we've got a LinkedIn group as well, which is growing, for Pathway to Grow. And again, in an informal, no pressure environment here, and that's what we're here for, so that there's nothing tracked. As an example of LinkedIn, when you're connecting with people and chatting to people, you're trying to get that next sale or that next contact. You're trying to engage with the key holders or the gatekeepers. I interact with a lot of HR, but more like talent acquisition specialists, recruitment agencies. I used to share quite a lot of vacancies out there during my time in my experience in finance and IT. That's my main background. And I used to share quite a lot of vacancies that I would see on LinkedIn. And I used to, so often that the recruitment agents would come up to me and think I was an actual headhunter. I said, no, I'm just here to help. Just here to pass that on, that maybe somebody in my network, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter, that they might benefit from that job vacancy or that event that's happening in any part of the country. And they'd appreciate that. They get better traction from that, a bit of viral, a bit of online traction. And that brings me to the point of HR. You can never be too complacent with regards to HR audit, your HR footprint. You could be self-employed, employed, employee, contractor, and you need to know, you need to learn, you need to be aware of the new laws and legislation that are out there, especially the new government, the uncertainty in our the uncertain times here with the triple dip recession, etc. On that note, I would like to invite Sue Wilmot, who's our guest speaker today, to talk about HR audit from HR Action. Sue, would you like to come to the stage? Thank you very much.
Right, good afternoon everyone. Hello. Well, it's hot in here. I don't know whether anyone else is, but it is extremely warm. So I'll try not to bore you to death, because with the warmth and being bored, people tend to fall asleep. So hopefully you won't do that, but I wouldn't be surprised. HR is not a particularly enthralling subject. I don't know one client of mine that finds it interesting and is enthusiastic to have a conversation with me about it. But it's a necessity, and if you have employees, then it's a must. Firstly, thank you to Chris Walker of Expressive Design, who asked me to attend today's meeting. Rather last minute, last week, just said, can you make Wednesday? So I will apologise now for the deep, what's happened there? I touched nothing. Backwards.
Okay.
That one? Yes.
Got it?
Did it. Thank you. I apologise now if the information isn't quite what you want. I've tried to tailor it so it covers the basics, and so hopefully that will be supportive. To give you a bit of more information about me, the name is Sue Wilmot. The company is Action HR Limited. I'm an HR consultant, and Action HR has been in business now for just over 14 years. Prior to that, I was an assessor, an NVQ assessor. I was in training and development, and prior to that, I was in sales and marketing. I ran my own sales and marketing business, and prior to that, I was in typesetting. So I've had a variety of skill sets and experiences throughout my life. And finally decided that HR was for me, and that was about 20 years ago, no, 15 years ago, no, more than that, 20 years ago, I was right the first time. 14 years ago I set up a business, and I have a range of retainer clients. So that gives you a bit of history about me. So as far as the subject matter for today is concerned, I just wanted to go over some of the basics, as I've explained before, about where employers go wrong, which is quite easy to do nowadays. There's a lot of legislation out there. It's updated annually, so things are always moving. And some of the main examples I've put on my presentation. Lack of documentation, for me, is pretty key. You'd be surprised, or possibly not, how many companies I go into and they have an issue with an employee. And the first thing I will ask them for is, can I see their contract of employment? And the answer, often or not, is what contract? I haven't got anything as far as contracts concerned. Offer letters, possibly not even those. So documentation is pretty critical. And for me, it starts right at the beginning. So looking at the recruitment stage, if you want to ensure that you don't get a potential claim for discrimination, you need to ensure that your recruitment selection process is fair, reasonable, and from my perspective, you have procedures, and you have job descriptions, you have interview questions, you have the basis of a CV interrogation system, so you can check the CVs first before you shortlist for interview. So all those kind of things are very important, and most good employers should have those. Can I just ask the room how many employers we have here today? All right, quite a number. And employee-wise, 1 to 5, hands up. 5 to 10, more than 10. Right, so not too many. So you would be classed as small to medium-sized enterprises, but it's still a lot of people to manage. And if you don't have any support, then these are the kind of things that will help you. So documentation is one. Offer letters, contracts of employment. Making sure that if you vary a contract, that it's detailed, it's written down, contracts are amended, and everything is done properly. Minutes of meetings. A lot of people hold many meetings, but then don't bother recording them or minuting them in some way, shape or form, which is fairly key, fairly important, especially if it's something you're possibly going to rely on at a later date. Lack of communication. Did anyone see last night's programme with Hilary Devey? She's from the Dragon's Den programme. No? Very good programme indeed. I came in sort of 5-10 minutes in, but the basic premise of the programme was she was taking the employer away from the business and handing the business over to the employees for a period of 3 weeks with an allotted sum of money, and on this occasion it was £30,000. And they had 3 weeks to make some sort of improvements to the business without the owner being present. Obviously he was quite nervous, and he did go, and they made a fantastic job of it. They introduced a refurb, rebrand. They found out what they needed to do with regards to what products to target. They introduced a theme on the Halloween process, the Halloween theme. It was absolutely brilliant. And they found when he came back, they found that the turnover had gone up by 10%, which he was rather upset about, but he took it in good part. And a lot of the changes they made, he actually decided to keep on board. So, you know, communication is pretty key, and I'm absolutely certain after all my years of experience in HR that if you involve your staff, whether you're going through good times or bad times, it does help to build that rapport and consistency between the two parties and will help you. A lack of traceability. A lot of companies, and I'm well aware of it, hold offline meetings, and they believe that offline meetings are better than having a minuted or a formal meeting. Sometimes there's a place for offline meetings, but the bulk of times you would prefer to have traceability with regards to those meetings. So a lack of traceability is also something that clients don't always get right. Again, internet, social media, it's all out there. It's not just you looking at it, it's your employees that look at it. And I'm never surprised to find out that many employees know more than their employer about their rights and about the employer's obligations towards them. And just on the way here, I had a phone call from a client. Got an employee who's going to attend jury service, and she's come to me and said there's absolutely nothing in her contract, Sue, about jury service. And I find this really strange. You set the contracts up, why isn't it in there? And I said it's on page 64 of your employee handbook. It's not a contractual obligation, but they need to know what the process is. Simple things like that, you know, at the end of the day, he needs to know so that he can then be professional and tell his employee where to find it. He's called me. God knows what he said to his employee. Possibly, I haven't got a clue. But it's in his own handbook. So it's important that as business owners that you're aware of the situation. Good one, I like that. So yeah, you know, I appreciate that businessmen, you're here, there and everywhere. You're entrepreneurs. You deal with lots of things. You're in business to make a profit. But what you've also got to bear in mind is if you've got a small business and you are also HR, you need to be aware of what's happening out there. Prime example of employees knowing more than the employers. I was contacted about 5 years ago by a company. They wanted me to come on site and deal with a potential redundancy scenario that they had. I went on site to meet with them and discuss the reasons for the redundancies. There were 2 employees. And the reason why they wanted to involve me was because the year before they had made just one person redundant. He'd been with them for about 8 years. Unfortunately, they followed, or what they thought they followed, was a good procedure, a good procedure, a good system, and dismissed him on the grounds of redundancy. Unfortunately, they didn't get it completely right. He subsequently raised a claim of unfair dismissal against them. And after court proceedings, they lost, and the cost to them with the fine and the solicitor's fees was £15,000. So that taught them a very valuable lesson, that these procedures are important and they have to be followed. So for the next time, he called a professional in to do it for him, which was me at the time. So, what should you be doing as employers? What do you need to do? Well, firstly, from my perspective, you need to look at your policies and procedures and make sure that they're up to date, that they're viable, that they support the business moving forward, and that you have everything there that you need to have. So, you know, if someone's going to be sick and absent from work, what's the process? What do you want them to do? Do you want them to call you on your mobile? Do you want them to text you? Do you not want them to text you? Because for me, that's a bit of a cop-out. That means that they could be lying on a beach somewhere and you wouldn't know. So it's much better to speak to them individually and find out exactly how they are, find out exactly what's wrong with them. So it's all about, it's again, good communication, but you need to specify what your procedures are going to be, and that will help your employees fall into line with your expectations. Make sure selection process when recruiting should be fair and consistent. That means that you will hopefully avoid discrimination claims. I'm working with one of my clients. They've been with me now for about 6 years. They've grown from